We are welcoming Keith B in. We're coming up on our mastermind group. We've had several sessions where we've had contributors that actually have projects and experience under their belt where they're coming in telling us their backstory. And we're here to talk a little bit and learn more about Keith. Keith, you want to introduce yourself and tell us your origin story? If you were a superhero, how did you discover your superpowers and what was your childhood like and how did you end up building a house with Hemp?
Well, not not to go too far back. In about 2003, a little bit before that, I started looking into natural building and got interested in straw bale construction and cob adobe and all that. And sort of learned a little bit more hands-on stuff a while back, and have just basically been planning a natural home for ever since. And finally, kind of Hempcrete came in kind of late in the game, and it's interesting, but even somebody who was informed and knowledgeable and learning about natural building, I had a misapprehension about Hempcrete, and I think that's interesting because I think it's not a unique experience that people don't really understand because of its nomenclature. And so I honestly thought it had something to do with cement. And so once I finally landed on Hempcrete and learned about it, I was sold. And I love the idea of a hemp block house, a monolithic block house. And so we settled on the HBI blocks. And we are about a year or so into that project now.
Nice. Yeah, and so tell us a little bit about why natural building. What was the motivation, if I may ask? Because I know everybody's got different reasons, and from health to environmental stewardship to beauty and design to functionality and economics. What was the main motivation as far as some of it's just the feel? This stuff is fabulous when you put it into the built space and you're just in a house. It just feels better. And so, what were some of those things that drew you in? Because and here's one of the framework for that question is we really want to survey that and ask that enough to where we can pinpoint where to find other people to where we can engage with the population about natural building with hempcrete and hemp lime so that we meet everybody. So what was the primary focus and what drew you in first?
Yeah, those are all really great reasons, and even down to just this sort of anecdotal feel of a natural home. But like I said, I started learning about alternative building materials in the early 2000s, and then I took an internship actually in California. And two of the big things that came out of me taking that, it was about a 5 months or 6 months intensive. Was both in agriculture and the built environment is the sort of some of the largest fossil fuel consumption, and a lot of people don't think about buildings being a big consumer of fossil fuel, but when you start talking about the manufacture and the transport, and then of course the long-term maintenance of buildings, it really it has a big impact. And so two areas that I have studied and have focused on are lower input agriculture, regenerative agriculture, and natural building. And so the lower embodied carbon of natural building, the local sourcing of materials, the vernacular methods, and all of those things add up to a lower carbon footprint from property.
So this was kind of something that you just kind of happened along and found as you were searching for how to, how to do things and be a better person on this planet, as many people do, stumbling into it. I know I stumbled in it as far as like clickbait on, the exotic nature of being able to put some building materials together with, with the marijuana plant. And I was just like, what? And so the clickbait worked, and then there we go. And so, so now map that forward a little bit now that you, where you're the transition between, hey, that's a novel idea, that's a novel thought, that motivates me to, hey, I really think that that's something that I could or should do, where it became possible.
Well, it's definitely been an evolution. It's been a long process of trying to realize that dream to have a natural home, and I actually have had several iterations. Some I drew up myself, some I had other people help me draw out, um, and basically this was just the right time that we're in a position where we can afford a bank loan, which probably we couldn't in the past. So things have just kind of lined up for us around this. And again, the hempcrete was late in the game, and so had I not, sort of rediscovered hempcrete, and I may have built a more of a hybrid house with straw bale in the north end and cob in the south end. And there's some really great other techniques in natural building that that I had gravitated toward in the past. But this was just sort of the right moment for this to come together.
And then where was the first discovery of hempcrete? Was it part of the internship, or was there something else like a workshop in between?
It was just something that was glossed over. Somebody mentioned hempcrete, and honestly, I was so focused on natural plasters and earth and construction that it just there was papercrete. People were talking about all sorts of different things at the time, and it just didn't hit me. And then I'm trying to think um, where the thing that's amazing, and I repeat this thought, is that hempcrete just has so much momentum now, and so it's so exciting for me to really see something that has the potential to be that natural material that's healthy, that's low embodied carbon, that's renewable, um, that has really caught on in a way that nothing else has in the natural building world. Really, I mean, most people have heard of a straw bale house, um, and but the idea that mainstream construction is starting to, or should say, hemp lime construction is looking a lot more like a mainstream material these days, and it has a wider appeal. It's very flexible, and I think that it has the potential to really work its way into conventional building, if you will.
Yeah, when you were first on our clubhouse group, it was a couple of years ago. You could keep up with everybody doing everything in the whole country, and then now there's whole buildings and whole projects starting and coming to fruition. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know about that. And so it's exciting. And then the other exciting thing is that when you talk to people, even people who are not even remotely involved in natural building, or if you mention it to them, they're like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. And then it's becoming more familiar and catching momentum. Well, I tell you what, go from the point where, and we'll talk a little bit about this in more detail, about getting all the financing and the stuff. But if you can give us a brief synopsis on, I guess, what was the introduction to the idea with a mortgage lender or the insurance company? I know mortgage and insurance are the two biggest questions that we get asked a lot of, and then we'll get more into the details and unpack that. In the mastermind group. But tell us about the conversation that you had and how that went and how you went about initiating that. And, what were some of the pushbacks, or was there any?
Well, really the our loan agent has been really very supportive from the very beginning. And from our very first meeting, he was like, "I think it's cool. I think it's great. I'm going to see what I can do in the back room, and we'll get back to you." And the really the most important thing is that we approached it as any other building project, and so HBI was really helpful in getting us some good plans, some good engineering plans. We worked pretty tirelessly to create a budget for the project. And we had a whole binder to bring in to say, here's, you know, here are our plans. Here's the engineering. You know, here's what we've got estimates and bids for this, for these parts of the construction. And we basically gave them a budget. And it's just like any other business proposal. You have to have, you know, believable numbers and something that sells itself as a package kind of thing. And so that made his job easier when he had to go to the board of the bank board with it, because they had a really good outline of what we were trying to achieve. And he came back with a yes from everybody. So
Nice, nice. Well, you mentioned the point about, you went about it like you weren't building an anomaly. You were building a regular, straightforward house, and you were using a building material selection. You treated it like a construction project. You had professional support, and then from being on the tour through the project with you, you are building in the South, and you have the Southern hospitality in spades. And so it's one of those things that if people engage those professionals, whether it's a mortgage broker, an insurance underwriter, or an engineer or an architect, if they approach them with that welcoming hospitality to the project, to engage in such a way, then you have the result of people are going to go fight for you or really advocate for you for doing this stuff. And I think you do a fantastic job of just having a welcoming demeanor and a professional manner in how you address that. And I would point that out and advise other people to just really take a page out of that playbook in doing that. Kind consideration goes a long way, and I think you've done an excellent job on that. Now, tell us about some of the things that motivate you. I know you're sharing your project. This is your personal home. Many people are very, very, very private on building their personal home, and then you're very open and sharing. Tell us about some of the motivations on what you want to accomplish, and how people watching this can know that and help.
well, yeah, I mean, anybody that knows me well knows that I'm definitely a preacher. And so when I went down the sustainability road, and started, you know, seeing solutions out there. I mentioned permaculture before. We tried quite a few years ago now to start a permaculture farm. We had a CSA, which, if you don't know what that is, stands for community supported agriculture. It's where you basically buy a share of the yield for the year. And we provided several families in the beginning with food, and we ran actually an egg laying operation on pasture. And so I'm kind of digressing here, but that's the point is we can. I have personally tried to change the way I do things, and my goal has always been to share those things with as many people as I can. And I've done lectures at different universities, even over the years, talking about the concept of peak oil, for example, or permaculture, regenerative agriculture, and so in that same vein, again, buildings are a big energy consumer. Construction can be a very wasteful process, and so trying to find alternatives to that, and also wanting to be an advocate for that going through the process.
Yeah, it is very impactful to you if you're the one in charge of throwing stuff into the dumpster or hauling the dumpster off from even a remodeling project. It can just floor you on what goes away. And so, that statistic alone is something that you've echoed twice, and I can tell that that was an impact. And then now you see something that is a real solution, and then you've got the heart of an evangelist to go and tell and share and teach about that. And I like that. Anybody knows me knows I'm a preacher about stuff. And then, you've got a good message to share, And then I think people want to hear that. And then that's something that everybody's got a different motivation to their story. And so I definitely appreciate that. Now, so you're out and about, you teach and you tell. And then now, what are some of the specifics of this once your project comes to a completion? I know you've had me through on a tour, you've had workshops there. Those have been great. You've been talking a lot. What are some of the things that you're going to be doing, and how can we support you once the project comes to fruition? And then now you're living in that house. What's next?
It's a bit of an open-ended question at the moment. I definitely would like to continue working with hemp lime and plasters going forward. I have a building business, a carpentry business, as it were. I've been a carpenter for many years now, and I've done a lot of renovation work, and so that's definitely an avenue that I could be continuing in, is having continuing to have sort of a construction business, but spreading the gospel and trying to find projects that can be retrofits or new construction addition type things that incorporate hemp. Um, I'm definitely, as much as I've enjoyed working with the block product that we're using, I know that there are other products out there that are just as good and for have different applications, and so I'm definitely looking forward to trying the other types of hemp lime construction, cast in place, for example.
Yeah, I know Cameron and Kim are good examples of that. Cameron is one of our original founders, Cameron McIntosh with Amerishav, and he's got the spray system. And then Kim Crows bought one of those spray systems, and she was a painter by trade, and then added this to her wheelhouse as far as the skill sets and core competencies that she could offer as a tradesperson. And then as Hempcrete fostered and grew, now, the other thing could become less. And just like you're a carpenter and have those trade capabilities, you can foster the hemp and the hemp lime scenario, and then feather that in with the carpentry projects. So you're not just, hey, I'm a hemp lime subcontractor or a contractor, and then that's it. You've got other things that will feather into your activities and your offerings. And I tell you what, if you're not a carpenter and you're on a Hemp Creek project, you're going to do some carpentry before that thing's over. And so it's nice to be able to have that skill set for sure and know how to engage. And we talk a lot about that in the mastermind, about how one subcontracting trade of the hemp lime installation, whether it's block, whether it's spray, whether it's hand cast, they need to be able to engage with the framers, with the electricians and the plumbers. And then all of those trades need to be able to engage with the architect and vice versa on down. So on up and down the process, everybody needs to be able to talk to each other and know how to make their life easier, or at very least not more difficult. And so that's good. And so you're going to be picking up projects, and then just also advocacy. And I know you've got high level skill sets as a TikToker and social media person. You've been getting some hits and views. Tell us about that and how that's going.
Yeah, I mean, I personally only very occasionally post something on Facebook or Instagram. I'm sometimes the photographer or the time lapse videographer, but
You're the Instagram boyfriend?
exactly all that credit goes to Katie, and really this project wouldn't be what it is without her, and so she really could be on stage here with me. But I'm the one that's there every day, and I'm the one that has the background in building, and I'm able to probably communicate it a lot better um, to this audience. But she really has done all the background of learning about TikTok and finding good ways to get that our project out there in the sphere. And she's a very good video editor, and that basically is her baby. And not only that, but it's really important, I feel, it's for everyone to understand that it's our house too. Like it's not just our media presence, but it's like I said, I've had several different iterations of the house in my mind and on paper over the years, and really the one that's happening is the one that Katie has been a big part of, and helping us figure out what we want, um, and sort of making things happen. Uh, Behind
Yeah,
every great project is a Katie for sure.
yeah, you're not just out to build a house. You're out, you've got a heartfelt mission to build a home, and it really comes in clear. And then I think it's just fabulous that, everybody doing different things. I know like my kids have gotten involved from filming to editing to designing the websites and stuff like that. And as a dad, it's just such a wonderful way to share something that you're passionate about. And I've really enjoyed that. And then, other than that, I'm drooling on the keyboard if I'm trying to do something like that. Now, what's I think you've got a lot on Instagram. The addresses or the where we can find you.
Yeah, we're basically at Hemp Healthy Home, and so wherever you're looking, you'll find us at Hemp Healthy Home. Um, we even have a YouTube channel, which is, I guess, maybe somewhere down the road we will start using that more. Um, but basically, right now we're doing Instagram, and I'm Facebook is pretty much the only thing I understand how to use, and so I use Facebook, and Katie does Instagram and TikTok, and if we end up doing some more long form stuff down the road, we might migrate some stuff over to YouTube.
Well, we'll post this here on YouTube to where people can find it, and then if they're finding it here on YouTube, definitely go over look at those other platforms, and then the video from the tour of the construction project turned out great. That'll be
Okay.
coming up, and so if people find this video here, make sure that they also reference that one as well. That's a nice tour through Keith's project before all of the plaster and everything goes on, so you get to see a nice view of the skeleton and a guided tour. And Keith does a great job of explaining some of those details, and so we want people to find that. And then any other things next that you want us to know about that we can support you along the way? And then final thoughts before we close up.
No, we're excited to be getting into the lime part of the job, and I'm a DIYer, and so we're working on good advice and some common sense, and we're kind of hoping for the best results. And so far, I've been really excited. I'm really I'm not ashamed to say I'm pretty much Lyme illiterate, at least as of about 2 weeks ago, and we've really finally committed to the Lyme patchwork that we're doing now. And again, I've got a great crew, and so far it's coming out. It appears to be coming out really well. It seems to be working well, and the temperatures are starting to get a little hot for ideal conditions for doing lime work. But this is where we are. We have a possible window for the base coat in July, and we just have to decide whether we want to take on a big exterior lime project in July. We will have professional help for that part of it. But if we don't do it now, and if we're still expecting help with this from this professional, we won't be able to do it until the fall. So
Well, you shared with me just how you've been collaborating along the way, and I think that collaboration is one of the hallmarks of the whole space where people are doing things, and that's something that's been a nice positive attribute of everybody working together that I certainly have enjoyed, and that I'm hoping to reciprocate. And you've got, I know it's getting hot towards the summertime, but you've got some epic shade there, and a cool place to work. And so even if it's hot and swampy, at least you're not in that direct sun. And so I really enjoyed your project and your tour and your hospitality.
This is the little screen slideshow that I presented there, and I just happen to have it right here. So something I
Nice.
can something I can scroll through, and I've got lots of pictures, but this is basically, here's the first shot. I just basically gave
Wow.
a walkthrough of our project. And of course, the last shot was that, I mentioned that we had a visit from the president of the United States Hemp Building Association. It's all in the
Yeah,
it's all in the
that
delivery.
picture really shows the ergonomic points that you were making on your foundation and how you had those at a comfortable work height before you
Oh,
filled in
right.
all your backfill.
Yeah, no doubt.
Brilliant.
It was a fairly monumental effort by the crew that did this work, but I was pretty impressed really with their ability to bring it in. I had a laser. I don't know if you can see my pointer, but I walked around the whole project with a laser, and you know, really more importantly, which you may or may not be able to see, but these sections here where the steel went into the form, um, it had to be within a millimeter, tolerance, all the way
Wow.
around the project, so that those braces, the two-sided braces, could slip down into that sleeve. And I wish the whole house went up as quickly and cleanly as this roof looked like it did. Um, I had I've had some really great help. My the guy that led this job is a good friend of mine, and he's a really fantastic framer. He can do just about anything, but he knows how to frame like in his sleep. So this came out really well. And
Nice.
if you haven't seen the most recent, here, I'll click this off. If you haven't seen the most recent thing, actually Ray shared it, so I know he's seen it. I'll include that. The roof is on now, and
What
uh,
kind of roof is it? Is it metal?
it's a standing seam metal roof. Because we're going to do rainwater catchment
Oh, wow.
uh,
Okay.
for our main water source. And when you walk up to our house, this is what you see. You see a big football field size roof. This is really where the beautiful side of the house is. But unless you're a drone, you're hardly ever going to see it. One of the things that really that stands out about this project, and it helps sell the idea of a hemp home, is that it's modern. It's a very modern design. It doesn't. I have no problems with the round cob cottages with the reciprocal roof and the
The
grass.
Hobbit, the Hobbit look.
I love it. I love that look, and I could live in a small house like that. And but as it were, this is not that's not the house I ended up building. And but I like the fact that it does have a kind of a universal appeal in that it's modern. It doesn't look like it was made by a bunch of hippies, and even though it was. So, that's just something that this house lends itself to, if you will.
Did
Yeah,
they
that's
did Hemplock actually help you with the design, or did you guys come up with the design?
They put their architect on it, and he was really great, and he wasn't expensive. The architect that was working with them knew how hemp blocks worked and knew how it would work with his house that he designed, and then also the engineer as well. And like I said, they hired the engineer for us, and we just decided, why wouldn't we go with their engineer?
we're super excited to have you on, and then we'll be doing as much as we can to get the influence and the evangelism effort out there, and then be of value to you. And we sure appreciate you being of value to us and sharing your story.
Great, thanks for having me, and
Yeah, it's going to
looking
be
forward to
great.
talking.
And we have 3 and now 4 folks who are actually building right now. We have one of our new guys is also building, and we like to think that they have at least been able to cut their time getting things together. Because Keith, your journey has been long, and we were there right when you started. Just on Clubhouse, and everybody, it was like, well, we're thinking about this blocks, and now we have to, and it was the pandemic, and there was like shipping issues, and the whole thing was like, so we think it's just kind of exciting that these groups are, or these people are at a point where they can, I mean, they save months by being able to just basically hook into
Yeah.
the resources that are now out there that you didn't have at the beginning.
And I
And
did lean.
so,
I did. I remember leaning on a lot of people in those meetings, and I even remember saying out loud, "I can't wait until I'm sharing my project with everybody."
yes, right. And I was so excited because I was like, are you going to be filming it? And you said, what? Well, we hadn't really thought about that. And now it's like, it's a cool TikTok thing, and it's a phenomenon. And that is so great, folks.
Yeah, they were sharing your TikToks with me, and I was just like, I know that guy.
I've
He's a
been there.
celebrity.
Cool. Well,
Super
great.
great.
Well, have a great weekend. Thanks for all you guys, what all you're doing. We'll be in touch over the next few days, I guess, and we'll see you in
Yeah.
a week.
Okay.
All righty.
Good.
Great.
Have a good weekend.
Take
All
care.
right.
See you soon.
Adios.